Hey everyone, here is activity 2 of lesson 2.11. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to continue to evaluate evidence to make sure we can identify questions that are still unanswered as these experiments with the team continue. So if there's unanswered questions, that means more experiments need to happen. So let's review some of the things that we know so far about these yellow fever infections. And then we're going to make sure we complete this table and fill in some, information about Dr. Carroll and Private Dean Williams and Dr. Lazier. So Dr. Lazier, we know, was bitten by a mosquito, and we know that he died from yellow fever. So a remaining question from these facts about Dr. Lazier is, did Dr. Lazier pick up the fever from the patients at Las Animas Hospital? So what do we know about Dr. Carroll, and what other questions does that tell us, or do we think we need to ask to get more information to fully understand the spread of yellow fever? And Private Dean, what happened to Private Dean? What questions do we have because of what happened to Private Dean? This is important that you read it. We've got 4.5 minutes of reading for 12 paragraphs. Make sure you read that. Please, please, please make sure you are annotating in a way that tells you what questions you could ask. So if you see something about Dean, and this is just an example, highlight it and add your note. Because you read this, what question do you now have? Now, maybe that question gets answered in the next sentence, but maybe it doesn't. When you're building this bank of questions, you then start to synthesize this information that you're learning. On card 2, we've got some questions we need to answer. Why does Dr. Reed offer Dean a $10 gold piece to say that he had left the base before returning with yellow fever? It's really important that we think about the timeline of these events as we're understanding the results of these experiments, and the results of the understanding that is happening from or with Dr. Reed, Private Dean, Dr. Lazier, and those researchers. So then the more information Dean gives Dr. Reed during the interview, does it strengthen the mosquito theory or does it weaken it? So this is another way of thinking of it, is when you have this theory about the mosquito and that the mosquitoes are transmitting yellow fever, when Dean gives Dr. Reed that information, each time Dr. Reed hears another piece of information, does he think, oh, the mosquitoes are transmitting yellow fever, or does he think, oh, it's not as likely the mosquitoes are doing it? So strengthen means it's more likely they're transmitting it. Weakens means it's less likely the mosquitoes are transmitting it. So what do you think Dr. Reed is thinking when he hears this information from Dean? Launch that evidence app right here to evaluate the evidence, and then go on to card 3. Answer your poll question, hand it in.